Hey, this is Wolf from Armoury-Terrain, and it's a lovely winter's day here in Brisbane today. So, since my friend CJ is here and her 14-year-old son Seth, we're having a bit of a fire. And we thought we'd cook some sausages and marshmallows and stuff. But unfortunately, after the last fire we had out here, when we may have been drinking an awful lot of rum, we left all the toasting forks outside. So they look kind of rusty and horrible, and we shouldn't eat off these. So what I'm going to do is show you how to make toasting forks, and then I'm going to cook some sausages. In the background you'll notice all sorts of happy birds flying around, and since I live right next to a school, just on the other side of that fence, you will from time to time hear the shouts and screams of small children. But don't worry about them, we're not torturing them or anything silly like that. Anyway, now to make some toasting forks. Okay, here we have Seth who's going to show us how to build a new toasting fork for the fire. Now what I've done is I've just grabbed a piece of pine ready, which is floating around my workshop, and I've drilled 2 holes into it, about 80 mils apart, so just over 3 inches. Now you stick the wire through the board, and then you put the board on the ground with a foot either side of it to hold it in place, and then with a tent peg, or in this case a fire hook, you put it into the top of the wire and you start twisting, and it's just keep going in the one direction, round and round and round. Okay, so what's happening there is that the bottom of the wire is spinning, so you might need to put your feet on the bottom of the wire as well. Now normally when I make these I just put it into a heavy drill bit and, you know, and it's done. But I thought I should show you how to do it out on camp or at a LARP event. You know, all you need is a little bit of fencing wire, about twice the length that you want the fork to be long. Now the fire I've got's in a nice big metal drum, so it gives off quite a bit of heat, but you can get nice and close to it as long as you're not hanging over the top. So our toasting forks don't have to be all that long. Yeah, just keep twisting it till it's a nice tight thing. Make sure though that the loop on the end you can still get your bar out of, because otherwise we might have issues. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Okay, so pull the fire hook out. Now this fancy looking hook here is just designed to lift hot pots on and off a fireplace, and it works really well. It's like a 3-dimensional jigsaw puzzle. Just open up the loop a little bit so it slips straight over the top, man. Also, leaving a little bit of a loop gives you a place to hang the toasting fork, especially when it's hot and you don't want it accidentally stood on. Okay, it should come out now, surely. Yay! Okay, now if you pull it out of the piece of timber, we see that the end of it, I'm just going to zoom in a bit here, we see the end's not really toast forky size or shape yet. So now it's just a matter of bending it by hand into the final shape that we want. Now if you don't have nice strong hands like Seth here, a pair of pliers might help. But ideally you want the 2 prongs sticking forward about 3 inches or 8 centimeters apart. And I think he's done a pretty good job there. So now for the test. Let's see if we can cook a sausage on it. Okay, we have the toasting fork made, we have a sausage on it. Now let's make sure that it'll hold the fork will hold the weight of the sausage. Okay, now because it is a rim fire, you can actually rest the toasting fork on the rim if needed. Now these sausages have been partly boiled before we started, so we won't have any raw bits on the inside. So cooking it on the fire is to give it flavour, some nice colour, and to make it nice and hot to eat. Now the only thing to remember is that your toasting fork is made out of metal. Metal conducts heat, so the fork can get a bit warm from time to time, especially when you've gone to grab the sausage to pull it off and eat it. But anyway, this is Wolf from Armoury-Terrain with a quick how to make a toasting fork. So even with all the craziness in the world and the lack of events, you can always have a fire in your backyard, and hey, stay home and make something. Also, my dog has a pig, and the pig squeaks and squeaks and squeaks. This is my dog Yuki, and that's CJ's fluffy thing called Luna. Not really a dog, but it thinks it is. Anyway, this is Wolf from Armoury-Terrain saying stay home and make something.